Hi, this is Joe Levia, and this is a Tech Talk video on creating a view template. So today, what I'm showing you here is I have Autodesk 2021 pulled up, and what I'm going to go through is creating and manipulating view templates in Revit for MEP. So as you can see here, I have a template pulled up, just a generic 2021 template. This template that I have created up specifically is going to be our systems template. So you'll see electrical, mechanical, plumbing listed here with all the different floor plans and everything along those lines. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the View tab here on the ribbon. We're going to come over to this graphics panel, and we're going to do this pull down for view templates. And then at the bottom here, it's going to say Manage View Templates. All right, so I've got my view templates pulled up here. As you can see, I've got a series of different view templates with my filters for both the discipline and the view type, both set to all. And what I am looking for is to adjust, and I'm going to start with a floor plan. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select this view type filter, come down to floor, structural, and area plans. That's going to bring up just simply my floor plan, structural plan, and area plan view templates. Okay. Now, with that being said, you can see here I've got multiple options out here. So I got an electrical, a mechanical, and a plumbing view template, as well as the architectural, which is automatically selected. So what I plan on doing, and the idea behind this, is we're going to go in, we're going to take one of the out-of-the-box view templates, we're going to manipulate it the way that we're looking for in order to plan out, or essentially build out, our view templates for the different types of views that we need to worry about and create. So I'm going to start here with the mechanical. So the first thing you're going to notice here with the mechanical view template is we've got some stuff already answered out here. So you can see our view scale, you can see our display model, our detail level. We also have our subdiscipline and our discipline called out here. And this correlates specifically with how our project browser is set up. And that's why you can see for plans that are out here, we have mechanical plans, floor plans out here that are filed under the mechanical discipline, as well as the HVAC subdiscipline. And because of that third level of filtering, we show this as a floor plan based on the browser organization in the project browser. So these are some of the aspects that go into our actual floor plans here, or our actual floor plan view templates here. So if I want to create this, what I like to do, my preference, is these are all the original out of the box. I want to create my own new ones. I want to name them according to my company's naming nomenclature, and I want to make sure that I'm accounting for everything that I need to account for. So for instance, just a little background with mechanical. Mechanical tends to be a combination of mechanical piping versus mechanical duct. We will also, when it comes to a floor plan, depending on how you guys are looking to set up your floor plans, you may either use a ceiling plan or you may use a floor plan to show your diffusers, registers, and air terminals, versus some of the other options out there where some people use a floor plan, some people use a ceiling plan in their AutoCAD when they're doing their conversion. In this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to separate out some of our basic systems with a couple out-of-the-box view templates. So here's the out-of-the-box mechanical. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to these two sheets of paper right here. It says duplicate. I'm going to duplicate, and I like to start with the actual letter of the system I'm working with. So if this is mechanical, plumbing P, electrical E. So underscore, and I'm going to call this duct. All right, and then I like to add the dash FP for floor plan, specifically because just like everything else in Revit, it's a naming nomenclature. You can't name the same thing twice per se. So if I have to take and make a mechanical duct view template for ceiling, or mechanical duct view template for my sections or my elevations or my 3D view, it needs something to kind of break that up, because you can only name m_duct once. You have to separate it out based upon the view type filter. All right, so now that we've gone through and we've done that, you can see here, I've got my name listed up here. If I wanted to come back and rename this and maybe call this m_duct, and instead of floor plan, call this exhaust, I can do that, and then refer to this as floor plan, or however I want to do that, or just leave it as an exhaust. I have options out here, so I'm going to add that floor plan in here, and this is just some of the basics that are out here. Once I've completed, so if I'm done with these and I don't need any additional, to clear these out, basically come up to architecture, delete, hit that X button right there, and that will delete out your view template. Now back to setting this one up. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm looking at my 3 different categories here. So I've got my parameter, got my value, I've got my include. So just keep in mind, if you uncheck the include button, what that means, that's going to basically allow you to control these specific parameters more in the instant category. So instance, if you guys understand parameters versus say a type parameter, think of view template as kind of being that type. So if I change something in the view template, it's going to change it for all the different views that actually are applied with this view template. Versus if I uncheck this include, so say I uncheck scale, now I can have this view template applied to multiple views. However, I can actually adjust the scaling for those different types of views. So it gives me a little bit of flexibility there. Not something that I play around with too much, but I do play around with this on occasion, depending on the size and the severity of the project. All right, so now that we've got that kind of understood, next step of this, I'm going to look at my detail level. So detail level here, we have an option, coarse, medium, and fine. Medium set by default. If you guys are familiar with the MVP Productivity Pack by CTC, that is exclusive to ATG USA. We are the resellers of that product. I utilize that product on a regular basis. One thing that that product tells me, as well as a lot of other families in Revit, is depending on how the family's built, you got coarse, medium, and fine listed as your detail level. Okay, so within those families, those mechanical families, for instance, those are going to show up differently, especially if there's some type of annotation on that family, depending on the detail level. So within that pack, medium is where you're going to see your annotations versus in fine. Fine, you're going to actually see the actual device in itself, whether it's a VAV box or some other piece of equipment, versus maybe seeing more of an annotation or something along those lines, a symbol or such, that's built on top of that family. So just a heads up to that. Works the same way with electrical and plumbing also. So just kind of keep that in mind. Make sure you understand how your families are set up prior to going in and adjusting the detail level within your view templates. All right, so next stopping point, we're going to go to our visual graphics override model, and we're going to select this edit. All right, standard terminology, model categories. That's what you're going to hear everybody tell you. If something's not showing or whatever, check your model categories first, check your annotation categories for tags, and so on. That's the standard terminology. In here, what we're seeing now, as I go through, you can see I've got a couple different options out here, and I can even adjust my filters list. So when it comes to mechanical, this is where we can set all our information. So if you're trying to compare CAD notes to how Revit works, this would fall under something similar to a layer. However, this will be a portion of that layer as opposed to contributing to the whole layer that you're used to in AutoCAD. Think of Revit as breaking that layer up into sections, using those model categories, and then also utilizing options out there such as filters and other things such as systems in order to break up the full visual effect of those categories. So in this case, you can see we have air terminals, we have our areas, we have some of those basic items. Just a heads up, you don't see anything for Revit links in here because I do not have a Revit link listed in here. But traditionally with MEP, you will have an architect model, structure model, possibly a civil model linked into your Revit. That's where you're going to manipulate those specific model categories. So just giving you a heads up to that, just almost like in AutoCAD when you have an XREF. The XREF has its own set of layers that you work with in order to turn things on and off on that XREF versus what's actually in your model space. So back to it. So model categories here, this pertains to everything in your specific model, not within the links. Okay. So as we go through here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at what I have on. So you can see some of the basics. I'm looking for my air terminals. As I scroll down, I'm looking for my duct. So my duct accessories, duct fittings, insulation, lining, placeholders, and then just plain duct in general. You can see there are some of these check boxes to turn things on and off. So that depends on how your families are built out. If there's additional items down there, traditionally there's not nearly as many additional things that may be in those check boxes, but it gives you that flexibility. Also, as I scroll down here, you can see I'm scrolling down a little bit further. Everything's in ABC order. So I'm looking, my next category I'm concerned about is going to be our mechanical equipment. So that's something that I have on as well. And then as we dip a little bit further, here's fab. And then as we kind of dive down a hair further, you can see I've got my piping information on, as well as my plumbing fixtures. So being that this is going to be my mechanical duct exhaust floor plan view template, I don't want to see piping. So I'm going to turn off all my piping. I'm also going to turn off all my plumbing fixtures because I don't need plumbing in my mechanical drawings. So just by selecting, and you could select multiple, hold down the shift button and it will select multiple. Otherwise, if you hold down the control button, you can deselect and you can select individually. It'll give you some flexibility out there. But those are some options to start this process, turning some of this stuff off. And this is how we manipulate our view template. Okay, as I scroll down, you can see there's a bunch of other information out here. You can see I've got a whole series of structural information checked. Well, in our models can be separate from structure. So structure will be its own individual model. I can leave this on or I can turn this off. But at the end of the day, there's not going to be any structural components in my specific model, with exception to the information that's linked in from the other model. So this doesn't matter if I turn this on or turn this off because I'm not manipulating anything without actually utilizing the structural in my model. All right, so next option out here, we're going to go to our annotation categories. So this is where I can turn things on such as tags and turn off other options out here as well. So some things that we like to turn on and turn off. As I may scroll down a little bit further, depending on what we're looking at in here, I can turn on or off my reference lines, planes, and points. So that way I'm not seeing any of that information out here. If this is going to be more of a view that's dropped on a sheet, what I'll do is I'll turn off my scope boxes. No reason to see any of that, but I can make sure that my match lines are listed as on. Okay. Also, if I've done the copy monitoring option out here with my architect model, which traditionally you'll do your copy monitoring for levels and grids, I can type in grids and I can change those to halftone. And that gives me some flexibility there. So that way, maybe I'm not seeing my grids outshine some of my actual information, such as my duct or any of my mechanical equipment. So those are some options that we turn on and that we turn off here. Whole slew of different pieces of information. So I suggest definitely learning the model categories and the annotation categories and how everything comes into play. So, and then once we get past that point, this is where now we have filters. So now with my filters, I'm going to remove these filters. And keep in mind, this is out of the box. So now I can select add. And then I have my mechanical filters out here. So I got exhaust, supply, return. Select those. This is going to be an exhaust filter. So I want to make sure that I turn my supply and supply and my return off. Okay. So I'm going to turn those off and just basically quick check, and that handles that information. I can adjust other options out here as well. So I can adjust lines, I can adjust patterns by selecting the override. I can adjust transparency as well. I'm not going to do that within my filters. A lot of that information I like to encompass in my systems, which we can talk about in another webinar and another tech video. All right, so I'm going to select my OK button here. Something else I like to do as well is I'm going to come into my model display, and I'm just going to adjust my transparency a little bit. This specifically allows me to see where I have some overlapping. That way I can see if there's any type of fitting and everything, which helps with your modeling here in Revit. So I'll flip my transparency. I like to do 60%. Other people change that up a little bit, but this is how I tend to work with that. I'll also check my view range. So my view range is set by standard to level above. There's a 4-foot cutting plane here, as well as my bottom end is at 0, 0, same with my view depth. I'm going to end up leaving this. I will say on occasion, if you're running into situations where you're struggling to see things, maybe you have super high ceilings, or maybe your model may not be sitting in there exactly correct or accurately, and you're just getting some weird views, you can always flip this to associated level, and then you can always set your top end offset at whatever that floor to deck level would be. So if it's 14 or 14.6, you could always come in here and do that. So it gives you some flexibility there. All right, we'll hit OK. Now that right there, that takes care of my exhaust. So what I'm going to do now at this point is I'm going to duplicate that. So, but first, prior to duplicating, I want to speed this process up. So I'm going to select rename, Control C, hit OK, duplicate, Control V, come in here, call this supply. All right. So now I'll come back in, duplicate again. I'll call this return. Okay, and then finally, last but not least, I'll call this overall. Okay, now what I need to do is basically I'm going to come right into my overall, adjust my filters. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. Return. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. Here we go. Supply, filters, turn this off here and turn on my supply. And just like that, I've created floor plans for overall, exhaust, return, and supply. So now I have all my systems accounted for in an overall view template that I can apply and literally take a cluster of a bunch of stuff and make it one. So I'd like to thank everybody for your time today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Outside of that, this is a tech video based off of my previous webinar from, I believe, the month of December in 2020. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Have a good day.